Press the button, my friend.
The Out of Bounds Show is live from the Whiskey 61 Lounge in the Bank Plus studio.
Check it out.
Your SEC Insider Hit is brought to you by Ag Up Equipment and your next John Deere tractor to manage your land, your hunting camp, your farm. AgUp.com. Ag Up Equipment with 17 locations. John Deere, America's tractor. Ag Up Equipment, AgUp.com. John Deere, America's tractor. Your SEC Insider Hit is driven by your next John Deere tractor at Ag Up Equipment. Well, here we go. We got a big one in Stark Vegas this weekend. Mississippi State will host the Texas A&M Aggies, who a lot of us left for dead, and now they've ripped off two big wins against the Miami Hurricanes and the Arkansas Razorbacks. And we welcome in Olin Buchanan, A&M Insider, Tex Ags, joins us on the Yuengling Lager guest line. So, Olin, after the past couple of weeks with wins over Miami and Arkansas, are you buying this A&M team now?
Can I rent to own? I'll give them this. They're resilient. They play with a lot of effort. They're still making mistakes that make no sense, like getting a delay of game coming out of a kickoff, and dropping. Like they had a chance for a big touchdown pass against Arkansas. The guy's open, and of course, the quarterback's going to lead him a little bit, and the guy stopped running. And then, it's going to be over my head and try to jump and catch it. And if he doesn't stop running, it's an easy touchdown. And just things like that just don't make any sense. Now, it's a young football team. Everybody knows that they're playing a lot of guys from the recruiting class and everything. But like the guy that made that mistake, the guy's been here 3 years. So, but they play with a lot of effort and a lot of all the cliches that coaches like, all the grit and determination, all those things. You see it from them, but you're still waiting to see them play really good football.
Olin Buchanan, A&M Insider on the Out of Bounds Show. Anais Smith going down. What does that mean, the impact on Max Johnson and on Jimbo Fisher's play calling and so on? Olin?
Well, we'll see, but just from first reaction, this is extraordinarily significant. The offense isn't that good right now. I don't think they've scored 3 touchdowns against an FBS opponent probably until since this year they haven't. 3 offensive touchdowns. And now you're going to take your second best offensive weapon out of the mix. They have a talent at receiver, but it's a lot of young guys who are still making mistakes, and he's a steadying influence in there, and he's that heart and soul type of guy. I think they might even lose more in terms of some of the intangible factors of the quote leadership and just the guy that can when you need a big play, he's the guy you look for, than just overall production. He only caught one pass last week against Arkansas before he got hurt, but it got him a first down on 2nd and 30. He got turned it into a 30, and it wasn't like he ran 32 yards downfield. He caught about 15 yards downfield and then juked and ran his way for the first down. And the play got hurt on. He was blocking downfield. So that tells you the kind of guy he is. So I think it's extremely significant. Now we'll see if some of the young guys can come and step in that role, but that's one of your 2 best players.
How would you describe? I know A-Chain is the dude on offense, super talented. You got to know where he is, what he's doing, all that. Kid's amazing. How would you describe Max Johnson's play the last 2 weeks? I'm sorry, for our listeners, quarterback for A&M. Go ahead, Olin. Sorry.
Yeah, efficient. The first thing that Max has done is he's not making mistakes. And that will take you a long way. And that's been a problem for A&M, their quarterbacks. Big problem last year. He's not putting up huge numbers, even though he could have. And again, run your route, dude. You're wide open. Don't stop. But he's not making the big mistake that kills you. The mistake that Zach Calzada made a lot, that Haynes King was making earlier this year, and quite frankly, up until his senior year, Kellen Mond had a tendency to make. So it's only been 2 games. I haven't looked back to last year at LSU. He didn't have an interception in any of his last 3 games, so he's on a roll. Gosh, a quarterback that can take care of the ball is a really good thing for Texas A&M now. He's going to have to do more than that moving forward. It's going to be hard without Nias. He actually, I thought, played extremely well under the circumstances against Arkansas. The touchdown pass he threw to Evan Stewart, he had Drew Sanders in his face. I mean, it was like he turned around and the blitzing linebacker was right on top of him, and he was able to get rid of the ball for a touchdown. But he's been under constant pressure because of inconsistent, underperforming offensive line. He had a nice 33-yard scramble, but there was a block in the back downfield that turned it into like a 15-yard scramble. Still got the first down, but so he's been okay. Has he been spectacular? No, but right now, I think A&M first needed a guy that wasn't going to make big mistakes, and maybe the numbers will come later. Surely hope so. But if with their defense, which is playing pretty well, if your quarterback can keep your offense from just turning the ball over and making gross mistakes, I think you're going to have a shot.
Okay. Olin Buchanan, TexAgs.com. He joins us on the Yuengling Lager guest line, A&M MSU, 3 o'clock, Starkville. And it's a monster game for both teams. And I expect it to be a close game. When you look at who A&M has faced, and as far as their defense, and really haven't played a team that can really chunk it around at a high level. And you know what Mississippi State's going to want to do, spray it around in that air raid. So how would you size up the A&M secondary against Will Rogers and Mississippi State's receivers?
Well, I disagree with you about not throwing anybody chunking around. We saw Appalachian State put 40 points on North Carolina in a quarter, and then we heard, for all off season that Tyler Van Dyke at Miami is supposed to be a possible number 1 draft choice as a passing quarterback, and KJ Jefferson. Now they don't throw a lot, but he's been having a big year. I think their secondary matches up well with just about anybody. Now, I thought what A&M did last year, I thought it was one of the few bad schemes that Mike Elko had, was he rushed 3 and dropped everybody back, which is fine, but don't drop them back 10 yards because Mike Leach is going to have you throwing it 5 yards, and I'll take 5 yards all the way down the field. And then eventually, they're going to break something. And I just thought it was a very passive scheme, waiting for you to, just asking just inviting you to move the football, and they did. I think you're going to have to be a little more aggressive than that. But I think as a secondary, A&M matches up really well with a lot of people. Now, Will Rogers is the most experienced, I think, quarterback. They will. Well, I guess the guy at Appalachian State had a lot of experience. But when you add experience and ability, Will Rogers is probably the best quarterback they will have faced, including the Van Dyke guy that's getting all this hype. So it's going to be a huge challenge, and quite frankly, anytime A&M goes to, we talked about this before, anytime A&M goes to Starkville, you're looking over your shoulder because crazy things happen in Starkville. Better teams than this one have gone to Starkville and lost frequently. So A&M's going to have to that defense is going to have to come up with a better plan. Now, DJ Durkin held them to 21 points last year, and quite frankly, I think if you could do that again, 21 points might be enough to win the game. But I'll also say this: you just can't count on A&M to score 21 points the way their offense is going, especially without an Eye Smith. So it's like you said, a close game. I believe that's true. And I think A&M is going to have a really hard time with Mississippi State's passing game, because they always do. But this is probably the best secondary they've had. Now, I want to say this is the best secondary they've had since they've been in the SEC.
Okay.
Without a doubt. That said, they're not putting any pressure on the quarterback. So I don't care how good you are. It's kind of like the running back that can't get any yards without a good offensive line. Well, if a quarterback has all day to sit back there and wait, they're going to find somebody come open. And, nobody does that better than Mississippi State.
Why aren't they getting pressure on the QB?
I think it's funny. We had a guy an A&M guy that played offensive line in the NFL for about 10 years. And we were talking to him last week about it. He said, when he was talking about when he was in playing in the NFL, he said, we had guys, big time guys come in as rookies, and a lot of times they couldn't. You saw the ability, but they couldn't rush the passer because they hadn't understood how to do it yet in terms of learning all the different moves. And maybe there's something to that, because they have guys that are quick and athletic, but right now I'm not seeing the speed rush. I'm seeing a lot of guys that are trying to bull their way through, and every now and then they'll get there on quickness. They're not getting the sacks and the volume like they got last year. And I think it's just because you have a lot of guys that are just trying to run through the guy that's blocking them. And a guy like, say, Shamar Turner, a sophomore, sometimes he's shown quickness to get past the guard. They don't have the kind of ends that they had last year, rush the passer. Most of the pressure they have is coming from the interior linemen. And one of the guys they thought was going to be their best pass rushing interior lineman is McKinley Jackson, the Mississippi guy.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he's been hurt all year.
Will he be
So
back?
they haven't had him. I don't know. He played some against Miami, I think just a handful of plays, and I don't think he played at all against Arkansas.
Okay.
He played all of last year with a torn labrum, so there's no doubt he's tough as nails. But they haven't exactly said what it is this year. I think I heard something about his foot. So I would suspect that if he can go at all, he'll go. I'm sure he wants to play in Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
And they need him because they've got to do something, I think, to boost that pass rush. If I think if you give Will Rogers 6 or 7 seconds to just step back there, you're asking for a lot of trouble.
Yeah. Well, all right. So A&M has more talent. Mississippi State looks like, they've got the more efficient offense. I'm not that impressed with MSU on defense. So, we've got a 3-point spread right now, MSU, which is odd. I think that'll swing back to A&M, but we'll see. Who do you like in the game?
I typically, no matter what the situation is, take the team that I think has the most talent. Okay, so I would go with A&M, but I wouldn't put any money on it. I don't feel that good about it.
Right.
I think that, again, if you have a quarterback that's not going to make mistakes, and hopefully he won't, then you put it on Devon A-Chain and your defense. And so far that's been enough. I haven't seen a lot of Mississippi State, I have to admit. I was watching their game against I watched a little bit of their game against Arizona because I got home late from a game. And then I turned off the game against LSU, and they were winning 12-0. And then I turned out and saw that they got beat or something like that, 13-0.
Right.
And then I saw they got beat. I was like, how did that happen? So I haven't seen a lot of what's going on with Mississippi State. But I think A&M. They've won, 2 games that they probably weren't supposed to, but I gotta tell you, I couldn't say it with any conviction.
All right, what about the atmosphere? It'll be packed, and you mentioned there's a bunch of young players.
Cowbells.
I know, aren't you excited?
Yeah, I love the atmosphere at Starkville. I really do. I enjoy it, but sometimes the cowbells get a little bit loud for an old guy. Start to make my ears hurt. It's going to be a great atmosphere, and I think you said it's a big game for both teams. A&M has Alabama next week. A&M's getting a little bit better each week, but they need to start getting a lot better. Again, going to Starkville, A&M never gets better in Starkville. Even A&M survives in Starkville, except that first year in 2012 with Johnny Manziel, and I guess even in 2020 they won that game by I think a couple of touchdowns, but they had a pass that doinked off of Anaya Smith's shoulder pads, went right into what's the kid, Forbes?
Yes.
His hands, and he turned into a touchdown. All of a sudden, it was a game. And things like that just happen in Starkville. So, I know it's going to be it's a big game for both teams. It's going to be a great atmosphere, and I wish I knew what to expect, but I don't.
Me too. All right, we'll leave it there. Olin Buchanan, TexAgs.com, and you'll be making the trip to Stark Vegas, right?
Absolutely. Staying in Jackson on Friday night, and making the drive in.
Okay. All right.
Pearl, actually. We're staying in Pearl. We heard there's a problem with the water in Jackson, so we decided to make sure we were staying outside the city limits. I don't know if it's still a problem there or not.
They got it fixed, but probably a good call. Probably a good call, my man. So,
all right. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Olin. Take care, man. Olin Buchanan, TexAgs.com. And he joined us on the Yuengling Lager guest line, talking A&M, Mississippi State, a 3-point favorite according to Caesars, and I expect that line to move. So we'll see how it shakes out over the next few days. He does think that the A&M secondary is pretty damn good, but he said that they've struggled with their pass rush. I'm not ready to make the MSU offensive line looks average to solid. They'll need to have a big day to keep Will Rogers, clean and give him some time to now granted in that offense you can get rid of the football quick, and I would think that will be the focus. So
if they struggle defensively getting pressure, which, I mean, again, I understand what he's saying about App State scoring against North Carolina. I'm pretty sure Gene Chizik never showed up when they hired him. I think he's still, I don't know, in Charlotte or something like that. Like they're not, not playing defense. I don't – to compare what Mississippi State's doing passing the ball to anything they faced at this point would be asinine and incorrect, in my opinion. I think that this will be an absolute test of A&M, and if they're not getting pressure – and they have to bring 5, because like you said, they dropped 8 a ton last year, and they got chewed up. If they start bringing 4 and 5, I mean, could Mississippi State? It's hard to play zone when you start bringing 4 and 5 people, and so could that allow Mississippi State to score some? I don't want to call them cheap plays, but like get more yards after catch than we were used to. Yeah,
well, they need to, that's for sure. And A&M not having the edge rushers that they have is interesting. And McKinley Jackson's foot, according to Olin Buchanan, maybe some kind of foot injury. How healthy will he be? Does he want to play against his home state team? Absolutely. What was he? Moss Point? Somewhere down in South Mississippi. Number 1 player, Jimbo came in and grabbed a couple of years ago in McKinley Jackson. MSU didn't even get a visit. Ole Miss made a run at it. Maybe not even late, but they did make a run at it late, and McKinley ended up in College Station. So there you go. And Max Johnson's been safe.
Yeah, he's the quintessential 2010 Alabama quarterback.
Yeah.
Don't screw it up.
Don't screw it up.
He's been through the fire. I have no doubt he will perform. I have no doubt that A-Chain will do what he can do. The rest of their team is very young and very inexperienced in a lot of areas. That's, to me, the question of what does the atmosphere do? I don't think Max Johnson gets rattled at all. He's been through the fire. But the rest of that squad is very inexperienced. And as we talk about in the NFL, we see good quarterbacks struggle when receivers can't get open. I don't know what the state defense will do, but if they can make life a little bit more difficult for Max Johnson, I mean, they have a chance. A&M is very undermanned offensively at this point.
And so is Mississippi State on defense.
Yeah, but they started undermanned. That's the difference.
True.
A&M had some talent, and then they all got hurt.
Yeah.
I don't know if Mississippi State ever had the talent.
Well, I'm not going to call it today. So we've got all week between the Dogs and Aggies and the Rebs and the Cats. Big Blue Nation. Well, I think Mississippi State will probably wear white and A&M wears maroon. I think.
You usually wear white on the road, don't you?
I think that flip-flopped about the last 10 years.
Let's see if I can find what they're wearing.
But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll roll out some maroon and A&M will be in white. You'll have to stay focused during the game since it's a lot of maroon and white on the field.
That is accurate. That is accurate.
Hold on. What color are we? Maroon? White? Okay. Some of you commented on Mississippi State's uniforms from this past weekend. I don't know if I can get into that as much as I want to. I'm kidding. Blake, should we make the trip to London?
Yes, absolutely. You want to pay for me to go to London? Sure.
Well, we got to find, kind of like the NFL draft.
They took the COVID restriction traveling stuff off too, so I can get back and not miss another week. Do you think anyone's ever done radio in Mississippi from across the pond? Could we be groundbreaking? I mean, we already are, but could we do it again?
Boy, that's a good question. We should do that. Let's go to a Ryder Cup and let's do a show. We won't even have to wake up early. It won't be till like 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
All right.
It's 6 hours ahead in Ireland, so it's probably about the same in England.
Okay. 1 or 2 or 3, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Kind of an after lunch show.
For us, but it'd still be morning here.
From the Ryder Cup.
Yeah.
Wherever it is, we don't care. And we'll do a show or two.
Yeah.
We just need to figure out a sponsor to pay for it like they did the NFL draft.
I like that plan.
Yeah.
I'll go to Europe again.
Vikings, Saints at 8:30 in the morning. So you need to pour your Guinness.
Get your fantasy lineup set early.
That's true because the Vikings
Saturday
had
night.
Another good win, man.
Saturday night, baby.
2-1.
Kirk Cousins.
Boy, DeMario Davis was ticked. So they'll play in London. Tottenham Stadium.
The Tottenham Spurs, baby.
The Tottenham Spurs.
Premier League.
Vikings Saints 8:30 Sunday morning.
Let's book our flight right now.
I love it. That thing will be over at 11:30, and we'll still wait 30 minutes for the 12 o'clock games. That's phenomenal. Saints playing in London this weekend. Hey, thanks for listening to the show. It's National Pancake Day. You can smash some pancakes at Burgers, Blues, and Barbecue B3. They have the wonderful pancakes. Have a great day. Hit the podcast on Apple Podcasts. We'll be back tomorrow with Mike Detillier. See you.